Welcome to the Claims Underground podcast with your hosts, Corey Locke and Troy Willis, where we help policyholders just like you understand your policy and how to navigate through an insurance claim. We advocate for homeowners as well as businesses when insurance companies won't pay. So if you're tired of getting the runaround and ready to find out what's really going on, then let's get down to business and learn from the insurance claims experts, Corey Locke and Troy Willis.
Welcome back to Claims Underground. Today we are going live. We're looking at someone's home that's being adjusted for a water loss claim. What we're dealing with here today, we're dealing with a bathroom loss, 2 of them. We're dealing with a kitchen loss. We're dealing with asbestos issues. We have some mold issues. And so the insurance company decided when they adjusted this loss, they believed it was less than $45,000 in damages. Being that said, let's take a look back here what we have going on. Let's start with the abatement. The abatement started from the walls to the floors because of the water damage. The problem with this abatement that I don't agree with is that none of the abatement was encapsulated where they left these openings like here in the kitchen where the drywall is exposed versus they removed the whole walls, which I don't agree quite with that scenario there. Being the fact that the pipe broke up in the ceilings, we have HVAC being HVAC ducts, which is flex ducts, and we also have blown insulation. The insurance company didn't consider any of the insulation up here in the ceiling where the pipe actually busted at in the ceiling. They didn't consider any of the electrical, which we're going to show you exactly what we feel about the electrical, being that there's water damage on the back panel of the electrical in the room where the pipe actually busted. Let's come back to this kitchen issue here. So as far as the kitchen issue is concerned, these are what's called custom site-built cabinets. They are not manufactured cabinets from Home Depot or Lowe's. You cannot buy those type of cabinets for this house. These cabinets were built on site. The way you know is you can look at the seams, as there's no seams connecting. This cabinets would normally connect in here. Just kind of tell you that this was all put together on site. This is an older kitchen cabinet, very older, and this is the way they pretty much built them back in the day. So therefore, you can't come back with a standard inexpensive kitchen that's built out of Home Depot that's off the shelf. These are not shelf-built cabinets. They also misclassified the kitchen as far as the type of kitchen it is. They misclassified the bathrooms and many other things. The adjuster was so lazy, he decided he's going to put in 3.5-inch trim base. And let's look at this. This is pretty high trim. We've already put a tape measure to it, and we pretty much hit about 5 inches around the whole structure. So again, money that he's just stealing from you. Let's walk in here for a moment. They decided that they would replace some of this flooring, but the adjuster didn't realize that this was actually an engineered floor. He put in for a snap lock floor, which this is not a snap lock floor. Laminate floor is what he put in for, so we'll have to go back and re-educate him on his flooring as well as the room in here. He also decided to get with these cabinets, and he told our customer they could reuse some of this cabinetry here. And as you can see, this is totally busted and loose from the water damage, but this is what your insurance companies tell you you can use again. All of this material was exposed to asbestos, not to mention. As we walk through here, I know it's gonna get a little dark, but you'll notice that this used to be a bathroom in here where the plumbing was for the sink and the toilet, and then adjacent to over in this room here, it gets into a secondary bathroom that's also gutted. This bathroom has to be put back complete. The other bathroom has to be put back complete. We can walk this way, as well as the kitchen that has to be put back complete. Many of these rooms, as you see, is gutted, will require new drywall, new insulation, wall insulation, ceiling insulation, being blown insulation, things of that nature. We spoke about the electrical panel being an issue. Being my inspection, as I go through looking at everything, I notice there's water staining coming down the backside of the panel, which means we have to have this electrical system checked as well for safety for the customer. As we look at here, there's also doors here that's got blue marking tape, and they mark the doors so they can match them up front. We did inspect the doors to see if there was any water damage to the doors as well, because those doors are basically particle board. They're actually a cardboard that's called a colonist door, which is what they have. Let's go take a look at these doors to get a better idea of what I'm saying. So in here we have what's called the doors to the home. These are called colonnist doors with these different panels in here. These doors are technically only made of like a cardboard material. So when they get wet, they start to swell and then they're no good at that point. So I've inspected all the doors seem to be fine. This room itself appears to be fine, but due to the flooring being damaged out here in the hallway and in here, it got wet, it has to all be replaced out. In California, there's a match code that has to be required, that they have to match to what you had to pre-loss condition. So we'll be getting these floors replaced throughout the entire house. We'll be getting a new paint job throughout the entire house. We'll be replacing all the insulation and duct and flex duct throughout the house. We'll be also addressing a brand new kitchen, 2 brand new bathrooms, and then we'll see about where those numbers take it from there. Our customer will be doing an interview with us shortly. We just kind of want to walk you through our process of what we come in and do when we come in and do an inspection, things that we look for. We've come in already and tested for a few things just to know the answers to them before we actually get into this fight. So look forward to hearing back and keeping everybody posted on everything. Please subscribe to our channel and I'll be right back. Welcome back to Claims Underground. Today here, we're back with the customer we just had a discussion with regarding looking at the damage of his home. This is Jonathan here. This is his home that had water damage to it. And at this point in time, we want to get Jonathan's story of what actually happened here, what he's been going through with his insurance company, and how did he figure he resolved this problem. So Jonathan, tell us what happened on the day of your loss.
It was around November before Thanksgiving. I came home from after work. She was actually out of town picking up her daughter, my stepdaughter from Las Vegas. I came into the house. I heard some noises in the back, but I didn't think too much of it because we have pets, right? So I'm thinking cats playing with plastic, right? So I hear something like, it sounds like someone playing with plastic. So I hear it, I don't pay too much to it, think it's whatever, you know? I go into our family room, I go hang out, I come back out, and I hear it again, and it seems louder this time. So I walk around the house, and I go into my bathroom, I see water coming from the vent. Like, what the heck is going on, right? Mm-hmm. So at that point, I call my plumber, right, which is a friend of mine. I call him, I'm like, hey, I have some water coming outside the vent, what do you think is going on? He goes, well, I'm not too sure, show me the other vents. And nothing's coming out from out here. I go into the other bathroom, there's water coming out from that vent as well. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. He goes, seems like maybe the runoff for your AC unit might be clogged. Mm-hmm. So turn off your system and I'll be out in a couple of hours. I'm working another job, but I'll do an emergency thing for you when I come out. I said, cool, all right, we'll figure it out. The time he gets here, because my roommate's in the other room and that door is normally locked, he gets in and there's water coming out from his vent as well now. And the water hasn't stopped at all, even when I turn off the AC unit. And I don't know nothing about plumbing. This is not my field of expertise.
Absolutely.
And once again, call my friend. When are you gonna come out here? It looks like there's water coming off from this vent as well too. Because that's odd, it should have ran off already. He goes, I know you're not gonna go into the duct. You don't know how to get up in there and try to, like, I'm too big with that, 250 pounds. I'm not trying to stand on those studs, you know? So I'm like, I can't
even. I've seen people fall through ceilings.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to do that, you know? So I'm like, I gotta make sure we're good. And he comes, well, when he does come out, it's a couple of hours, probably like 12 o'clock at night. He comes out, he goes up there, he goes, man, you gotta bust a pipe. Let's try to fix it up. And it's a Pepsi part. So I'm not too sure how it ruptured. I'm not clarity on that part. And he went up there, he cut it off, he fixed the line, the water had stopped. Okay. At that point, I talked to my plumber, what do I do? He goes, dude, there's a lot of water up there. There's water still coming out. You need to call a restoration company. He referred me to somebody. I contacted them. They came out, talked to the individual. And he came here, Morsha read everything, and also took pictures of everything that looked at could potentially be damaged. Within that process, before he left, he set up equipment to dry out some of the stuff. And also, I guess in that time frame, contacted someone to come test for certain things before work could begin, right? And in this time, I'm still not aware of what this is really in.
How big it is.
Yeah, like what's the whole program really looking like, right? I'm thinking it's just water in the attic, right? Comes back with the test, it tested positive for asbestos in drywall, tested positive asbestos for in the floor. It's at a certain percent of like higher than 1% in the walls, up to 4% or 5% on the floor or whatever. And I still don't know what this even means. Like, okay, what do I do now? Well, they refer an asbestos abatement company. They come out, they do another walkthrough, and they say, yeah, we gotta figure this stuff out. They come out, it's at about a 2-week period, and within that time frame, this is what transpires. They rip out all this stuff. They're going back and forth about the kitchen too, because the tiles run up to the kitchen and they go up into the cabinets. And our desk adjuster is saying that, well, it doesn't really matter, but from my understanding, asbestos, after researching, this is when I start doing my homework. I run into your YouTube channel stuff, you know, yours is making a lot more sense to me because it's breaking down certain things for me, where other ones are talking about general stuff, and I'm like, well, still, I need to do more research on what they're talking about. I found out, well, when it comes to asbestos, the entirety of it has to be removed if it's disturbed.
That's correct.
Right? So I'm trying to talk to, I'm not trying to, she's talking to a desk adjuster with the abatement, talking about, well, if it runs up, then it has to be removed, right? Because I'm trying to understand. He's saying no. They finally agreed to it. None of this stuff is recorded or talked about through email. It's all been phone calls. And at this point, they finally approved the kitchen. Upon removing the kitchen, they found mold, right? Then they removed the mold. After this 2-week period, I come back to here. I have contractors trying to bid. No one wants to give me a bid at all. Insurance company's not really helping me, which is, I guess, a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. Good thing that they're not referring anybody. Bad thing that I'm not really knowing what to do, what's inside my policy, how this is really supposed to work. And the people that are coming out to check my house are all seeing like they're going cha-ching. Not at first, but when they see the house, it's cha-ching. Money signs in their eyes.
But now what the insurance company seem to pay, they don't pay
No, that's what I'm saying.
Coins.
Yeah, and they're like, but I'm not getting realistic, like, bid for my living area, how this is really supposed to work. They don't really know what they're talking about. They specialize in certain things, they don't specialize in other things. But at the end of the day, I'm not getting any written itemized list about how this is supposed to work out. The desk adjuster finally, not desk adjuster, the field adjuster finally comes out, does something, and he hasn't been out here at all. That's probably the biggest point I wanted to make. He was scheduled to come out before the asbestos people did.
Okay.
Once they found there was asbestos, he refused to come to the house at all. And said that he will not be out here until after everything has been complete. I don't know if that's normal or not, but it also sets me up to the point that like he doesn't even know what my house looks like, right? So a little worried now.
That's a fact.
Right? And after all this said and done, I walked into the house, this is how it looked. I talked to contractors, couldn't get a bid. No one wanted to do it without guaranteeing work or a job. And I was stressed. I think both of us have been stressed. Living outside of a hotel room, spending Christmas, and kind of getting choked up spending Christmas in the hotel room with my daughter, not something I want to do. Like I grew up with an addict's father, right? So I grew up in the hotel room, spending Christmas and holidays, and it just was a trigger for me. You know what I mean? So it's not something, I'm supposed to be providing something better for them, you know?
It was out of your control.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, it was out of your control. And, you know, again, we empathize with people when they have claims because it's real life. You know, it's real life that actually happens to people every day. And it's some of the stories are so terrible that we take it personal. We ain't supposed to. You know, it's something that just happens on that end of it. What exactly are they doing about your housing?
Well, right now they've offered us. I guess it's not a settlement, but a check for $40,000. I don't know if I get too specific to fix the house. But if you look at the house, that's nowhere near where that needs to be at. I don't know about upgrades, what you guys talk about in your shows also, if that needs to be done. Because if I start slapping on drywall and stuff like that, which doesn't make sense, I'm going to have to take it all back down anyways to do what I need to do. Well, and that's if a contractor does it because they can't close something off. That's
a fact. And we'll also, you know, when I prepare this estimate, we'll be checking for the codes in the city to make sure whatever ordinance applies, and that way we can address it towards the policy. So what made you decide to hire a public adjuster? What brought it to that point after hearing everything that happened?
I think, so I talked to a lot of contractors. I talked to people that weren't contractors, that worked on other people's and subcontractors, and I'm weighing out the pros and the cons here. I need someone that knows what's going on. My policy is confusing. So if you don't know your policy, like you should read it. If you don't know how to read it, find someone that can. Because insurance companies will tell you what your policy is, and it's not what it is, right? And they don't want you to know about other things you're paying for, premiums that you're paying for, added stuff, because that's more money out of your pocket, unfortunately, for what I've come to realize. So the reason I went with a public adjuster is because, first off, I watched your guys' videos. I've heard what you guys were talking about. I thought I could probably do this by myself because you were educating me at the same time as I started becoming a little bit more aware, right, of what's going on. Not as aware as I need to be, but the fact to the point to where I'm stressed out. I can't, because life doesn't stop because this has happened. And I still got to carry on what I'm doing outside. She has to do what she needs to do. and bringing in a public adjuster like yourself, especially Troy, because I lucked out, I feel like I do.
I appreciate it.
Relieves a lot of stress. And if I could relieve some of that stress, I could focus more on her.
On your family.
Be more respectful for her. Because I've been taking down on her too. I mean, it's
and that's why that's one of the reasons we take a lot of y'all stress off too. We need you guys to focus on getting your life back together. I know when I spoke to you yesterday again, so we'll take care of it. That's how I keep saying we'll take care of it. And that's the reason we do. It's our job. We're supposed to be able to relieve that from you and take it on. The only stress you should be getting is the email you read from a pushback from the carrier that you don't like. And I ain't gonna like it either. Other than that, it shouldn't be that way. That's why we communicate with you. We take up that phone, we're gonna figure out what it is you need and get the questions answered. Never ever go out asking questions in this industry, for real. If you need to know, we'll give you an answer. It's never a problem. And for all the things that's transpiring now, they just received your information last night, they've confirmed it. So the next step is that we're gonna prepare an estimate, we're gonna prepare a demand, a sworn proof of loss, and we also demand a demand for payment and proof of loss. And then we're also going to, we sent over your 2071 to request your claim-related documents so we can view what the insurance company's got on this as well. So once we have that in place, also, that'll help us to determine which direction we'll go. But within 7 days from today, business days, I'm already have your demand ready for you.
Why don't you act like you've been doing that beforehand?
Well, the thing is, in this business, really, when it comes to some public adjusters out here, they don't write their own estimates. And as you heard in our podcast, we prepare our own. I'm a retired builder. I'm an expert witness. So we do this all day. I'm a large loss estimator as well. And so we prepare our demand because we present it with this proof of loss because it starts your clock to ticking. And most people don't understand that the policy required them to file a proof of loss within 60 days. And then they wonder, this claim is going on for a year, we're not resolved, and nobody's had their foot on the insurance company's neck. You'll see a lot of things that we actually push because there's time frames on it. And sometimes they'll comply, and sometimes they won't comply. That's just the truth of the matter. Many times it's a wake-up call for insurance companies that once the Department of Insurance get involved, if it comes to that, or sometimes you got the right public adjuster to give them that question that they have no choice but to give you an honest answer. And one of the things we do is establish liability first. That's the first and foremost thing to get liability established. This is what's next. As far as we're concerned, we need to make sure we get proper housing for you guys. We need to work on that. We also need to work on what's going to happen here with the building. Yeah. So, that's going to be the process. So what we're going to do here today, folks, is just kind of give you an idea of what's happening here with these people's claim. We're looking to go back to the table with the insurance company, hopefully within the next 30 days. I'm sure it should be within that amount of time. Get out here, get a re-inspection, set a whole new scope of loss, and get a different agreement going on. And then at that point, we just argue about the little preliminaries. Me personally, this is not really an argument of claim. As I look at it, it's not like it's a lot you need to prove. It's actually what it is. It's hard not to say that. So I don't see this as being a hard fight. It's just going to be a little inconvenience, unfortunately. Yeah, but we'll get you where you need to go.
Yeah, I like the fact that you brought up the time frame too, just to get in that piece, because I feel like in this moment they are using the time frame for my ALE to run out.
Many times that's done, and it'll sit on adjuster's desk many times, and I don't knock them. I used to be an independent adjuster. They got a 30-day diary, okay? The 30-day diary allowed them to respond to your claim in a report, a status report showing that this is what's going on. Many of them are lazy and they'll go, don't do re-information, blah, blah, blah. That ain't the way you do it. But yes, every adjuster has a 30-day diary that they, some of them may have a little early, but it's usually been 30 from my own experience. And then usually that tells what they've done over the claim. By law in California, they're required to give you a 30-day status report every 30 days, which I know you haven't received. We're going to be addressing that as well. Our fight is about using insurance laws, facts, science, and law itself. That's the way we push back against the carrier. There's no magic wand, there's no overinflating things. We only advocate for what the policy allows. So what we're going to do is we've actually filmed some of your damage within the home. Right before we interview you, we'll bring both of these together so everybody can have an idea, put the face to the actual damages, and then we'll welcome everybody back when we have more results about this claim. I'd like to thank Jonathan, and I'd like to thank Kathleen for allowing us to give us this interview of them in their home and unfortunately sharing the problem that they're having, which we all should be empathizing for them because they're out of their home. So I'd like to thank both of you for this, honestly. So,
Thank you.
Troy Willis with Claims Underground, Troy Willis, Jonathan, and Kathleen, we're out.
Thanks for listening to the Claims Underground podcast. We hope you enjoyed this segment. If you need more information on insurance policies, feel free to check out our website, www.claimsunderground.com. And remember, when the insurance companies won't pay, we're here to help. Until next time.